All right, so you might be joining us from watching the first half of this podcast. It's on Wes Roth's main YouTube channel. You can check him out at Wes Roth. So how tied to your identities are you right now? Like if you happen to be scrolling on TikTok and you saw a version, like somebody did a deepfake avatar of Tim and you were, I don't know, advertising something mundane like a coffee mug or something. I mean, would you be really like, I need to take action, this is unacceptable? Would you kind of be like, I see the future is just going to come, I'll deal with this? Like what do you...
Our friend Matt Vid Pro went out and licensed his voice to 11 Labs, and I was like, take that shit down, like stop doing that. And like Igor from AI Advantage actually just sent him over an Instagram reel where he's actually hawking one of these things, one of the mic stands. He's like, I was never able to do like perfect, like no, it was overhead shots, it was overhead camera shots, that's what it was. So, and it's totally Matt's voice. I'm just like he's just like, oh, I'm making good money off of it. I'm like, no, don't like get that off of there. So hopefully he's taken that down. The fact is that all of our voices and all of our faces will be, pulled in at some point or another. I just can't help but think that like there are much bigger fish out there. Like you have Marquise Brownlee. Like, I mean, if you can have a choice between him being your product salesman or me, I mean, I'm going to take him. He's got way more influence. You know what I mean? So if somebody's going to do it out of spite, I guess. Oh, what'd you do? Sorry, the cat again. If somebody's going to do it maliciously, I should say, stealing Dylan's face or stealing Wes's face to advertise a product, I think there are much bigger celebrities out there. There are much bigger faces out there. Why choose any one of us when literally you can clone anybody? Wouldn't it be Mr. Beast? You know what I mean?
Yeah, although he does have those people do have a lot more money to defend themselves too, and they can like write lawyers, cease and desist. There might be a middle ground where people get more taken advantage of.
I should say that YouTube does have a beta program. I'm not in it now. I think people like Marquez are like where there is going to be essentially content ID for you. So that will be a feature that will be a feature in the future that we'll see anybody that's in YouTube doing like our type of content or really any content will have is essentially there will be like YouTube will have a system in place that trains on who you are, and then if it identifies you in another video somewhere else, it'll notify you and say like, hey, is that you? Are you cool with that? And like you can strike it or keep it up. So
probably chicken or egg type thing is kind of coming. It goes out there. We get new tools.
Oh, I was gonna say though. I mean, with so many platforms, like so we can mitigate that on YouTube. Does that exist on TikTok? Does it exist on Instagram? You know what I mean? Like so, it'll probably be just a bunch of different tools that we have to use across. Then maybe somebody smart comes along and creates a service that you now have to pay for that manages all of that. So I'm sure somebody will get rich off of that.
Well, there are some startups that provide the service for influencers, for celebrities, where they make the video AI avatar. And then if a company wants you to do a promotion for them, you just click OK.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, I'm cool with them. They're going to pay me this much. And then they create a script. Then it's your likeness that kind of like reads that script or whatever, and you get paid. So, I mean, all of that seems like it's going, in that same direction. Like YouTube's going to have their content ID match, whatever. They already have that for VO3. It sounds like some sort of an invisible tagging. Yeah. So, I think that's where it's heading. That's a fascinating thing because that's also kind of like what the Orb and WorldCoin and Sam Altman's, that whole thing is like, how do we say that this is a unique person, a unique human individual, etc. So yeah, it's going to get interesting because I don't know if we're like ready for that future quite yet. Like it's getting harder to tell what's real, what's not.
I mean, my mom sent me it was like the most blatantly AI generated video. It was like an America's Got Talent clip of I think it was supposed to be the survivor of what's that? It was like the last survivor of Hiroshima, like playing piano, and like it was so badly like not even Hey Gen. It was like, I mean, it was like the worst lip sync I've ever seen. Just terrible video animation. But the trick that they pulled was that they would cut to Simon Cowell and a few of the other hosts, and then cut back to the AI generated. So I think that my mom's old, she doesn't have great eyesight anymore. So that was just enough to fool her. So it's gonna like a lot of that for the older generation. That's gonna be rough on them. I think even our generation and younger people, maybe if they're not paying attention, I guess, and but that's a whole other rant of like, I think that attention spans and being able to spot the truth is a dwindling resource these days, just because again people are just flip 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 flip, so.
Yeah, one of the things, one of the like something funny that I saw recently is there's a place on Reddit, a subreddit, I forget what it's called, where people post obviously AI generated images like from Facebook, for example, and where people get fooled, and so on that Reddit post they kind of go, oh, look at these people, they're so easily, so gullible, they're fooled by AI images. So somebody generated a Facebook post, an image of a Facebook post with a fake AI image and comments, and he posted it to a forum that those people were like, oh, look at those people falling for, obviously AI generated image, but the image was AI generated.
The whole thing
and
was
yeah,
fake.
so it's like no one's
Gotcha.
safe. I'm curious what you guys think about this. So the more obvious thing is that we're gonna fall for AI generated images or video. But on the flip side, there seems to be also a danger of most people are just not going to believe what they see as being real. That could also seems to be like it could really have some negative consequences. Like you can just believe what you want to believe, kind of have confirmation bias, and anything that doesn't fit with your mentality, you're like, that's fake. Like, what do you guys think about that? Is that not a concern? Is that maybe even a bigger concern?
I mean, personally, I think that that's been happening for the misinformation aspect of it has been you basically treat I'll go all the way back to the printing press with that, but yeah, I mean, like, obviously I think it's going to put some gas in the fire, but ultimately I think that, like, it doesn't matter if it's video or not. I mean, like, people would choose to believe what they wanted to off of an image, over the last 4 or 5 years. Before that, it would just be, you could just use text. Like, you could say the most, moon hoax landing or moon landing hoax. Like, I mean, photographic evidence. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, people are just going to believe what they want to believe anyways.
Yeah, I do think there will be kind of an interesting moment, though, where there's sort of an A/B testing system that's not humans creating it, but it's just like, here's Trump saying one thing, here's Trump saying another thing, which one gets more views, like delete, try A/B, 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 until there might just be at scale a little bit more disinformation than could have ever been done before.
I mean, what's the I should plug the one that I saw sponsorships for not too long ago, the one that takes news articles from both different media outlets, and it's like, Trump said the stupidest thing, Trump said the most brilliant thing. It's the same thing. Like, you're just taking like bits out of, or like Musk, Musk's black eye recently, like, it doesn't, like, and on top of it, most people aren't actually reading the articles anymore anyways. They're just reading the headlines anyhow. So, like, there's that problem as well. God, what was that? There was a good site. I think it was a few of the, like, Johnny Harris and a few of the other, like, YouTube guys were doing it, where it was just basically like, it would collect all of, they probably are using AI too, but it would just collect all of, like, the news feed and just figure out where the median was, like, essentially where the truth was in the middle of all of these stories. So that's
so maybe AI could help balance it out.
Yeah, that's something that I hope is a little bit, that could come along, that I don't think it would take away from the divisiveness of, like, arguing on one side or the other, but hopefully it would mitigate some of it, maybe.
Yeah, so wondering, we talked about VR just a little bit, and yeah, more and more kids are getting into VR. And I tried the Vive, HTC Vive or whatever it is, back in, I want to say, like 2014 or whatever. It blew my mind, because there are times when my brain would stop perceiving it as a video game. I was like, oh no, this thing is real. Like, it just, something, it clicked, and you're like, it failed to tell that it was fake. And more recently, there's been some talk about FDVR. So I guess a full dive VR, where we sort of plug in some portion of our brain into a thing that simulates all the senses, and it's VR, it's virtual reality, but where it's completely indistinguishable from reality. I guess kind of like what Matrix is. And there's a lot of people that are very attracted to that concept, right? Maybe they don't have the best of lives, maybe they just have bad circumstances, whatever the case is. They're like, I would live out my life there. And of course, there's other people that, of course, would try it, but wouldn't completely go into, like, what do you guys think about that? If at some point in the future, the next generation, like some big percent of them decides to go, hey, I don't like this world, it's a problem, it's too negative, whatever, I just want to live in this full dive VR, I guess it's what the acronym stands for.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Is that
Matrix?
Yeah.
full Matrix plug-in. Yeah,
Yeah, but is
For
that
sure they will.
but is that do you feel that's okay? Like, should we as society be like, yeah, go for it, it's fine, or is this is a problem?
Like, I'm not ready for it yet, but in the long run, I think we have to be, because there's probably going to be like Grand Theft Auto, if it becomes its own universe and people make their own money there, and they live on their credits and they do things in that world. They hijack cars for money and then they come actually spend it in the real world. It'll just be their lives, man. It'll just feel like, I don't know what you do, but good for you, you know?
I feel like it'll be like anything else, really. Like, I mean, it'll like there will be. You can almost think of it like a drug, and in some ways, like there will be people that are able to handle it, do it over the course of like a weekend, and like or like a Friday night. Hey, we're going to go into the Matrix or whatever. Come out of it, and we're going to go play volleyball tomorrow. You in? Like, and and then there are people that are probably going to get hollowed out by it. And at some point or another, we have to figure out what that means. It'll be interesting, as I was kind of thinking about it though, with as that as a technology, the say somebody with like MS or somebody with like Lou Gehrig's, like that could be very that could give them something that you could go visit this person that's locked in their body and unable to communicate and have a way to like hang out with them. That's something. Terminally ill patients, let's just say, like end of life, to be able to strap in and get to say goodbye to somebody, like that's pretty huge. So I mean, there's it doesn't necessarily have to all be terrible. That's one thing that I find with AI a lot, like Project 20 or AI 2027 and all of that stuff, is that it's just like it's so like black or white. Like it's just so like this is the end, or this is going to be the most beautiful utopia ever. When in all honesty, I really think that it's just going to be like it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Like one of the best depictions of sort of like Mother May I AI was in not a great season, but it was in Westworld season 3. They had that giant orb thing, Rehoboth, that was like the AI that would monitor everyone and kind of like kept control of the economy and all of that stuff. But really, at the end of the day, like if you looked in the background, all of the characters, they were still going to work. They still had an office to go to. There were dudes like going up and doing construction and like coming home and just like cracking a beer and watching TV. I think that that's probably the most likely outcome, is it's just the same. Like, you know what I mean? Like our day to day really does, like a lot of stuff will change, but our day to day is pretty much our day to day.
Yeah, you're right. It's just so hard to get your mind around how complicated it is. But yeah, you're right. Some people will use it to talk to people who are like incapacitated, and it's going to be like amazing beauty. And then other people are going to be like addicted to it. And we should start a rehab company for getting out of full dive rehab.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, you're right. It'll just be this weird mix of people slowly coming to terms with the changes in the world.
So if you are an entrepreneur out there, jump in on VR rehab. Like,
Full dive
that's where
rehab?
you want to be right now.
Yeah, just put them in
Sign
a
up
room
on
with
school.
no devices, nothing. Like you just experience reality as it's meant to be experienced. That's
There
it.
you go.
It's, low cost.
Natural 20 can be updated.
Have you guys actually had a chance to do that? When was the last time both of you were able to like fully digitally detox? Like just no phones, no like not checking. Yeah, I know. It's just
Yeah.
I gotta start
There's
working.
no day in my life I can remember since getting a
Yeah.
cell phone I turned it off for the whole day.
Yeah, I'd love to. Even when the power goes out now, once in a blue moon that happens, you're still able. You have your phones and stuff like that. You can still charge. Yeah, I can't think of a single time when even traveling now, everywhere in the world you're connected. I don't know. I would want to at some point. I feel like I would need to for a weekend, just
Yeah.
turn everything off. And there's places you can go to. There's silent retreats and stuff like that where people don't talk or whatever. I don't know if like I could do that, because it sounds easy, but the people that talk about it, they're saying it's a completely like wild, life-changing experience.
I don't know if I could do the with the silent retreats. Are you allowed to communicate non-verbally still, or you just can't speak? But
What, like sign language? Writing
silent,
notes?
because I would be making. I don't think I could not be a smartass there. Like I would have to be making jokes. Like
He'd just
like
be
with
holding
my
up
hands or
signs
gesturing
like,
or
I don't
something. Yeah,
believe it. Like, this guy's full of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they encourage you to attempt to not communicate at all. I'm sure if you need like a water, something you can point to it, but they're like, try not to communicate. But
Too much.
Yeah. I would. Yeah, I will say that was something that occurred to me this weekend. Was thinking to myself, I was out at a drive and like just thinking to myself, like, I kind of wish my phone battery would die. Like, I almost kind of
Really?
wish like I could just, because like with the phone and you're driving, your GPS is on, you've got your podcast that you're listening to, your music, you've got the entire library of anything audio you can pull up and start listening to. I was driving by, it was a nice, beautiful field, the sunset, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, you'd always, of course, turn off your stereo. But it did get me thinking, like, when was the last time like I was not connected at all, like I was
Yeah.
unreachable, and I can't remember. Like even planes, like I'm on Wi-Fi on a plane now. Like
My fiance has a magic show and nobody's allowed to film it, right? Because it's like we don't want that getting out on the internet. And when I sit there and I watch everybody like twitching for their phones, like 'cause she'll do something and they'll like the instinct to grab your phone and film it, and then the second the show ends, it's like right back to it
right
and
back to it,
everything.
like,
And
yeah.
but yeah, because even at dinner, like a fancy dinner, people are pulling out their phones. At the nightclubs, they're pulling out their phones. Like yeah, when you restrict it from people, it's weird. They get crazy. They get itchy.
Oh no,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah, I mean it's all like dopamine fiending for.
Yeah, in David Copperfield's magic show, there's a box on the table. You put your phone in the box, and they come by and lock it, and it sits in front of you, so you know it's not going anywhere. But like, I just see people stare
David
at the
Copperfield
box.
make them all vanish. Like when at the end of the show, you're like, where did my phone go?
There was a story somewhere in Mexico where there was like this popular kind of resort town, or at least where people went to go dining and stuff like that. I don't know if it's touristy, but it was just, you had dining and stuff like that. And every once in a while, there's a local cartel boss that really enjoyed going to that restaurant. And of course, they're super paranoid about their security, as they should be. You know what I mean? So they would roll up, with the armored guards and stuff like that. They would surround the restaurant. They would go there while everybody's eating, collect everyone's phones so that nobody could, transmit out to the neighboring cartels or anything like that. And so the guy would just sit there and eat and enjoy his meal, and everybody else couldn't leave, couldn't text, couldn't do anything. And at the end, he would pay for everybody's meal, and maybe he would even give him some gifts, so he wasn't like a horrible person about it, at least in that environment. But and then they would just get back in their car and leave. And so I'm thinking like that for most people, that would be the only way where you spend 2 hours without your phone is when you got the cartel like surround. It's like, yeah, I'm fine. Like I'll just sit here quietly. Yeah. That's like the only realistic scenario for not using your phone for a few hours, I feel like.
And I mean, the question always comes down to like if you're away from your phone for a few hours, like and you turn it back on, you get access. I mean, like what really changed in the world in the handful of that 2 hours where you were having that meal, like that you needed it for? That is one. The other thing that I've been really fighting myself, particularly with just AI, every LLM known to man. And once again, all of the information in the world available to you, a prompt away, is to focus on not using it, not cheating, like in a conversation of like, we were talking about Rick Rubin earlier, like, and what albums did Rick Rubin produce, and like forcing myself to manually think as opposed to asking an LLM or pulling up a Wikipedia and just going through all of them, because I do feel in some ways like, yeah, that is a slippery slope of like that muscle memory of recall, like is kind of important. So
So in the future, do you expect to pay more for content that's created by regular people using AI because you're trying to support individuals, or do you expect to pay less because it's not a $50 million movie and anybody can drive the cost down?
I mean, I think it's I do agree with sort of that Patreon-esque model of like I think that's probably where things will go. I think they're just going to pay the tickets to a movie theater like are going to continue to rise, like 4DX and all of that stuff as attendance in movie theaters begins to diminish. They will add on more and more features to the point where it becomes a roller coaster. You know what I mean? Like, and you will probably end up paying more to go to your local AMC or whatever. As far as like independent content creators, I think that you'll start to see more, like less, more of a, I don't know, maybe it's as a subscription model, maybe it's a Patreon-y model, but I think that that's where ultimately things will end up heading.
So
Yeah.
you would sign up for lots and lots of different Patreons, probably, if
Yeah.
you felt like they were doing consistent content.
I mean, I kind of already do. So, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's probably where I think it's for independent creators at least. I think it's going to be a lot more in like microtransactions. Well, the old 10,000 fans or 1,000 true fans. I think it's going to be sort of more like in that area, in my opinion, at least. So,
Yeah, Michael Kelly, A Thousand Truth Fans. That's his name, right?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great article for people that are like kind of doing this stuff. It's kind of changes your perspective on how many people you really need to influence and be interested to change to be able to become like a full-time creator or whatever that word you want to call it. But yeah, I think this is one of the things where this is one of the things that's not going to change. This is one of the things that has been pretty stable for most of history, because you go back to, you know, Da Vinci time, you had the patrons of the arts that would pay great money for him to produce his work. He would make stuff for the church, and then that would pay him enough money to live the life how he wanted to. So maybe that wasn't true art. Maybe that was more like a producer or whatever you want to call that, right? But he did that. He got paid, and that allowed him to kind of do the stuff that he was more interested in, which was, I guess, dig up corpses and study them and all the other cool stuff that he did. But and then I think during the tech kind of revolution, when the internet came about, like it sounded like that was going to change, because all the tech people were like, information should be free and everything should be free, it should be widely accessible. And I think they lumped content, like the stuff that artists produce, they lumped it as part of information. They're like, yeah, so your movie and show and all your thoughts and ideas and your books, that should be free as well. And I think that was maybe starting to happen a little bit, but then kind of like the artist community, or just maybe not even just like anybody that like creators, let's say creators, I think that's a good word for it. They pushed back. They're like, no, we're going to get paid for our work. If we're like putting our heart and soul and everything into it, we should get paid for it. And so now you're seeing that like all of the social network, like YouTube is giving 60% of the income to YouTubers, to creators. On X, you know, they're beginning to start doing payouts. Everywhere else, like I don't know if Facebook is doing it or not. If they're not, I don't know how. Like I don't know.
They are. I believe that they are. I've never played with it, but yeah, I believe that they are.
I think everybody's going to, they realized, okay, you can't just have people produce amazing stuff and not pay them. You have to share, and even like the lion's share goes to them. So it's like, yeah, information can be free, but this idea, like we want to not patronize, but, you know, be a patron of people that we like. We want to support them. We want to make sure that they even, I mean, I see these Twitch streamers that pull in millions a year on Twitch, and then people are like, oh, here's, you know, $500 gift because I really enjoy what you do. So it's not that they think that they're poor or that they need support. Like they got 2 million, it's enough to survive on, you know, anywhere in the US, but they just want to be, you know, maybe part of it is they're trying to be visible, but also just the love for people that create stuff that makes us feel a certain way. They want to support that. Like I don't think that's going anywhere. I think the more commercial, yeah, but that's staying.
I remember like in my 20s, I saw a band playing at some club. They were pretty good, and then, you know, afterwards I was like, hey, you know, can I buy a CD? And they were like, yeah, just, you know, just take one. I was like, well, like, and they were like, just leave whatever you want in the hat. I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Like, and so it was like, you know, it was a nicely produced CD and all of that stuff. And, you know, I was like, how are you guys making money off of this? And he was like, well, you know, I gave whatever, as a, you know, poor 20-year-old, I dropped in like $2 or whatever I had. And I was like, you know, how are you guys making money? And I remember to this day, I still remember the guy going like, we make more money doing this model than if I were to try to sell you a $20 CD.
Right.
If I were to try to sell you a $20 CD, you wouldn't buy it. But I just made $2 off of you. And, you know, the next guy, he might drop a 50 in there. Next guy might drop $1 in there. Next guy might drop 100 in there. He's like, I'm telling you, we've run the numbers. We make more money giving it away and asking for donations than we do like trying to get somebody to buy something. So that's always stuck with me. So whoever that band was, and who CD I lost years and years ago, and music I don't even remember, thank you, whoever you are.
Do you think your brain will enjoy a certain level of imperfection? Like if you went to a movie theater and there was a little bit cheaper price for a Spider-Man that was AI generated versus one that was human made, like do you think you want to see, knowing that like maybe it won't have as much action and as much like kind of polish because humans can't really do that when they're actually filming things?
I don't think we'll ever see a point where you can have two different versions of the same movie. If you're saying like,
Yeah, more hypothetical, just to kind of
Yeah, yeah,
see. I'm
yeah.
kind of trying to gauge what you would care about.
If I were to go see a
Yeah,
movie
like a
that,
Magic AMC movie theater with like Spider-Man AI or Spider-Man filmed real.
interesting. Um, no, because I think that no matter what, like if it was still going through a traditional pipeline of like editor and post house and all of that stuff, essentially there's still an artist making that. There's still there's somebody producing that. So I would expect to pay the same amount, I would presume.
What would
Like any
you
more so
want
than
to
like
see?
what's up?
Maybe not so much money, but like, what do you want to see? Like, do you think you're going to want to see the imperfection of humans?
I would say, yeah, I would say in general, that's something I was thinking about when, did you watch The Pit? That was that show that was on HBO, starring Noah Wyle. It was a medical drama on HBO. It was like 10 or 11 episodes. Very, very good. Highly recommend everybody go check it out. It's hardcore medical too. It's like ER on steroids. In fact, they actually got sued by ER because it was originally supposed to be ER, and then there was a problem with the Crichton estate, so they pulled it out. They made The Pit. The Crichton estate sued them, saying it's the same show. It's not. It is. It's not. It's a medical drama starring Noah Wyle, who was in ER. He was the young doctor in ER, and the show is amazing. It's done in real time, so every episode is 1 hour in the life of these doctors in an emergency room, and they have that HBO budget for gore, so you see some pretty like what real people in an ER see, and like it's everything's very technical. It's very good. But a lot of it is based around the stress of like what these doctors go through on a day-to-day basis. And there are moments in there where Noah Wyle, is on the verge of a panic attack or something, and it's mass chaos going around, and you just see a small silent close-up just panning in on him. You just read everything that's happening in his face. You can't necessarily, you can try to prompt that, and it might get good enough to be at the point where you're crossing a lot of those like micro beats, but I don't think that it's going to get to that point. But more so than that, like I have 20 years of history with Noah Wyle. You know what I mean? Like no matter what, at the end of the day, he's a different character. It's a different show. When I see that guy dressed in blue scrubs, I go 20 years back to watching him in ER. You know what I mean? Like I've carried that time with me and that man with me that whole time. So that's something that I don't think that you're going to get out of AI. You know what I mean? That emotional response of just seeing someone that you don't know, but you kind of know, like, and you can read all of those like little tiny emotions crossing their face.
Yeah. And, one interesting thing that I saw recently, a couple of years ago, I had a friend that, I came over to visit him, and he's got a record player. He brought a brand new record player, bought some records, and, he put it on. I mean, it sounds amazing and everything. But, I think a lot of these old formats, they never die, right? Mm-hmm. So we still have radio, people that listen to the radio. We still have record players. We still have a lot of stuff that you think, like there's something you might say better came along. But and maybe it decreased in popularity, but it never died. And in fact, in that small subsection, you still have people that are very, very interested. So the human aspect of it, no matter how advanced this gets, it's always going to be there. It's never going to go away. It just depends on what's going to be more cool or more viable, more interesting for the majority. So the majority of the people will drive where the money goes. But if you're doing something, in your own little niche, I don't think it's not going away. And this is what
I've always said that from the musician standpoint too, is like musicians generally are not, you do hear some noise about it these days, but particularly very early into AI, I didn't see a lot of concern on musicians because, well, they face things like, I have one somewhere back, like a drum machine. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was supposedly going to kill drummers. Drummers are still fine. AI music is getting very good. Suno and Udio are pretty amazing. They can't play a gig. You're not going to pay, $20-30 or whatever like it is to see a local band, at least at a club, that you're going to see the band. You're not going to see a prompt, so there's always still going to be a guy on the street corner playing music that is really good that you're going to drop a couple bucks into his guitar case for, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you're remarkable, what's his name? Seth Rogen. That's what he talks about. Like if you're remarkable, you're always going to have your own space. Like if you're good. Maybe you'll replace some people that are not, maybe that's not their passion. Maybe they don't have the best talent for it or whatever. But like the people that are remarkable, that are great, that enjoy it, I don't think they're going away, whether that's filmmaking or music or anything like that.
Well, and that's kind of ultimately, I think, the thing about the great equalizer of all of this stuff is that, like, I mean, ultimately, I mean, we're already kind of seeing it, like these really, really flashy, incredible AI generated videos that, look very expensive and very cinematic and all of that stuff. And like, that's cool, but it's still ultimately going to be hollow until like a story or something that like we as viewers invest in are going to be able to connect to. I mean, it's like Hollywood's running into the same problem right now. I mean, how many sort of like soulless Avenger or Marvel movies have we seen that are starting to bomb because people are just tired of the eye candy? It still has to be a resonant story and like created by or an original thought or an original idea. And that's something that I think that's the thing that I'm most optimistic about is that somebody out in, I don't know, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, who has a great idea now, can now make the thing. It can be big epic sci-fi. It could be a small little period drama. It could be, anything in between. They can shoot it on their phone with some augmentation of AI in the background. They can prompt scenes for it that they couldn't necessarily shoot.
Who knows how many like assistant directors and like grips have been on movie sets being like, man, if I had $1 million and nobody to tell me what to do, you know what I would make? And like we might start seeing all of that content soon.
That's exciting to me. I mean, that really is. Like even the first Matrix, even like if you go back and watch that now, like that was kind of, I don't want to call it a shoestring budget, but like they had some money, but like they were limited in their money, right? And they had to be smart filmmakers with it. And by limited, I mean like it was still like $100 million movie, but 2 and 3, on the other hand, they were just like all the money in the world, and like it was yeah. So yeah, I do think that smart, resourceful filmmakers are going to be able to utilize this technology for and work within the constraints of it, and create something really cool. I'm excited about that.
So, quick question. So, you used the word hollow to describe AI video, and I mean, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The Sam Allen posted a story that GPT 4.5 generated that was something about AI and sorrow. I don't know if you guys remember reading that, but like I read it, it moved me in a sense that I was reading it and I felt it made me feel something, even though it was explaining to me step by step, this is how I'm making you feel something. Then it would flip it and it would like hit those pain points again. I was like blown away. I'm like, this is incredible writing. And some percentage of the audience, a decent percentage of the audience, really did not like that. They kind of like really pushed back. And I was for a while, trying to figure out exactly what the critique was, because we're finding a lot of studies show that people prefer sometimes AI generated text until they find out that it's AI generated. So they tend to discount it when they know it is. So people said, well, this text, it doesn't have the same weight. It feels hollow. So there's a lot of these words that we've used. I mean, with AI video, I get what you're saying. It's hollow, like. But with text, I mean, at some point, I feel like, I'm going to say, yeah, this is world-class writing, at least some generation of it. I can't say that it's worse than humans. Like, we've passed that line. I mean, is there something fundamentally that you think makes AI-generated text or stories and stuff like that, inferior to human-generated ones? Do you think, or is it just all in our minds? We're discounting it just because?
I think on first prompt, it's usually pretty bland. You know what I mean? Like if you're like, make me a crime film in the style of Tarantino, like, and ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, all of them will give you. I mean, all of them will be happy to provide you with a summary of that. But it's going to be the most bland thing ever because they're all just taking the averages of what is crime movie, Tarantino movie, and then kind of like, just doing what LLMs do. We're just predicting the next word. So, you end up with something that meets the criteria, but it is like the most like vanilla, like middle of the road thing of all time. So really, I think that, actually PJ Ace was just talking about it kind of recently as well, like just with a prompt thing that he generated for one of his viral things. So it's like I gave ChatGPT the framework, that it spit out 99 bad ideas at me. And that's really the trick, is iterating with it, making it more interesting, playing with it, figuring out where, by the end of it, it's really more of a writing partner. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, yeah, it's actually one of the reasons that um, I'm not too, I haven't seen anything on the agentic side of just like prompt, out comes a movie. Something that's going to take your GPT, like, or I'm sorry, take your movie idea, kick it out to a GPT that's going to fill in the 3 act structure, that's going to take it out to break it out into shot scenes and all of that stuff. Just because I think that it's just going to be bland. You know what I mean? Like, you still need human interaction in between each one of those beats.
Yeah, even with text and like Sam Altman's tweet, it was like, it still feels like we're missing long-term planning to some degree. Like, to make me love a book, I have to like first get to know the character, not out of pure love, just to like get to know him, and then and then you know what I mean. Like, there has to be a story arc where like I know what they want in the world, they don't get it, I feel for them, and they do get it, and then some twist happens. And even with text, it's hard to generate 100-page scripts, and then also to do that in video, but with an agentic future, with something where maybe it does generate a full 90-minute script, and then you go to sleep overnight and there's 10 different agents, and one of them is meant to like add more pizzazz, and one of them is to like keep the storyline consistent, and one of them is to like understand character development and like weave something about that character in every scene to like make it feel like a very human, consistent thing. Then maybe that generates for 7 hours, and you come up with a script that you think is like got that refinement, but that world just seems like it's still another year away or so.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see what happens here. Like, at what point, if we do a blind test where people, select where they prefer one response over the other, we're already beginning to see that there's some preference towards AI stuff. In fact, 2023, some AI image won some artist competition. Do you remember that? It was kind of like a big upset because it was before everybody. I think it was DALL-E that made it, or Midjourney. I don't remember, but
that's her,
yeah. They interviewed the guy, and he's like, yeah, I just prompted a bunch of stuff, kind of put it together, and it won. But then of course people are upset. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out if that's just something that we are in our minds discounting, or maybe it's not there yet, but soon we'll start improving to the point where, like, do you see yourself preferring, for example, AI music at some point to real music?
I do. Yeah. I can get, like I said, anything that's sort of short term, I think I'm already can get duped by. I do think a poem, I can kind of see an AI generated one being better than a human one, because poems are just kind of short. They're not the narrative thing I was talking about. I can see music, because it kind of, God, I'm not a huge music person, so like I hate to kind of go as deep as other people on it, but sometimes I'm in it just for the energy at the gym. For some of those things, it does feel like AI is doing it for me, but I don't sit down and feel somebody's heart probably in the way that a lot of people might, and I'm not there yet. So yeah, short term, kind of, I'm duped. Long term, nah, like not yet.
I think we covered so much, and really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. This was great, and I got so much great just information out of it, and just a better. Yeah, there's just some stuff that's going to help me explain certain concepts better. Like, I keep saying artist, and I'm like, that's not the right word. That's just not the right word for what we're trying to do. Producer, I think it just explains it so much better. And I took notes. So, but yeah, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had fun.
This was fun. No, yeah, I wish that today wasn't like so crazy and hectic. As it turns out, by the way, my AC guy was not able to fix the AC. He actually had to leave to go get, like, there's a new part that's not AI. It's like a new regulator or something like that. So he went out, got that, came back, put it in, failed part again. So it's still the same thing. So
we'll use AI to remove the sweat from your face. That'll be good.
Yeah. So again, sorry about that. It's just been a confluence of things that ended up screwing up today. So
no, this is great. You have so much insight into, especially the kind of creator version of AI. Like, I've learned so much about the different models that are out there. Sora, Runway, Pika. You've always been the first to explore those in my world. So thank you for all the stuff you've taught us too.
Context coming up next. So I'm going to do that. I got to do the video on that now. So yeah.
Flex One Context.
Flux is always an interesting one to cover too, because it's like got the open source and the platform aspects of it. Like, so it's always like an interesting juggle. Like, Wes, do you do much? You do some like local stuff, don't you? Like,
sorry, what stuff?
local open source stuff, right? You cover that. You cover a lot of that.
Oh yeah. I try to keep on top of it. I haven't done as many artistic whatever, like images and video from the local stuff. I mess around with the various GitHub projects and stuff like that, but that's not a big focus, I guess.
Right. Yeah. It's it's always it is always a balance though, because anytime that I do content on anything that's like, a VO or an LTX Studio or something like, there's always somebody in the comment that's just like, actually that's a bad example with LTX Studio because they gave their model away as open source, but there is like always somebody in the comments just like, open source is the way. I'm like, partially, like I mean I like to always kind of give both like their due as much as I can. So, but when you cover open source, it's also a lot of deep nerd in there. I mean, it takes a lot. It's not necessarily always for the layperson. So
yeah, I think it's great to always give alternatives. The open source alternative, always support that community, support them. But yeah.
It's actually it's the wonderful thing of like we have both. Like, so
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I actually should get going.
Yep.
I got to get the.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Yeah,
We'll see you there.
absolutely. Well, we can do it again too. When I'm not as like hurried.
Yeah.
We'll be absolutely. Let's definitely do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Take care.